All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be in the 135-pound division where my favorite fighter under the 140-pound division is offering to fight Gervonta Davis again. And I think that Gervonta Davis should take it because everybody is leaving that weight class. And I am talking about the great Mr. Gary Russell Jr., who made some tremendous observations also about the fight that has taken place between Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be in the 135-pound division where I'm talking about Mr. Gary Russell Jr., one of the baddest little dudes. No disrespect saying that because he is a big man, but you know what I mean. He's one of the baddest 126-pound fighters of the century. Was never blessed with a tremendous amount of activity in his career, but trust you me, if you honest with your eyes and you look at what Gary Russell Jr. can do in a boxing ring, you know that is a tremendously talented, skilled, special fighter who was asked, what's going on for the rest of the year? Well, let me put it this way. He put out a tweet letting everybody know to expect big things out of him and his brother, Gary Antoine Russell, at the end of this year and at the beginning of 2026. Obviously, one of the things to look forward is Gary Antoine Russell's fight against Andy Hiroka. And during that fight, Gary Russell Jr. will be the corner man for that fight. So this not only is Gary Russell Jr. in the mix as trying to get a championship shot at 135 pounds, he's also a world champion trainer at the moment with his brother. And so that's no small feat. My personal opinion, I think Gary Russell Jr. should be aiming at the Hall of Fame if he is able to get a couple more fights, man. So when he says that he's willing to fight Gervonta Davis and you look at the landscape of the 135-pound division, man, I think that is exactly something that should take place for several reasons. Number one, now, don't get me wrong. I know that there are fights that people would put ahead of a fight with Gary Russell Jr. I know that people would say, what about the Shakur fight? Look, I'm fully aware that Gervonta Davis and Shakur Stevenson should get it on, without a doubt. However, let me tell you, that fight is not going to be happening next if you're paying any attention to Shakur Stevenson. And if you really listen to what Leonard Ellerbe and the PBC say about the fights with guys like Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez and the roadblocks to some of those fights, look, I want to talk about fights that we know have an absolute positive real chance to get made. And those are fights like guys like Gary Antonio Russell. Gary Antoine Russell at 140 pounds, the WBA champion that's going to be fighting on the undercard for Gervonta Davis. That is a real option for Gervonta Davis for a fight if he wants to go to 140 pounds, especially because Gary Antoine Russell is fighting on the same schedule as Gervonta. But at 135 pounds, where you see guys have already left the weight class, the rankings and the people in that division are very, very thin with guys that actually have names that can actually challenge Gervonta Davis. Lamont Roach is obviously one of those guys, right? He's the dude that got to draw off Gervonta Davis and who most likely Gervonta Davis will fight next. The only thing that makes me wonder about that with Lamont Roach is how much Lamont Roach runs his mouth. And and the fact that Lamont Roach just moved up to go fight Pitbull at 140 pounds, and there's no guarantee that Lamont Roach is going to necessarily beat Pitbull at 140 pounds. Even though I give Lamont Roach the edge to beat Pitbull, I trust you me, do not lunch on Pitbull Cruz. That is a very, very tough fighter, a very, very tough out for Lamont Roach. But if Lamont Roach win or lose, he's going to be a guy up there that's positioned to fight Gary Antoine Russell at 140 pounds. So Gervonta Davis, and that whole thing is available there. At 135, though, his number one, the guys at 135 are almost all gone. You have, again, Shakur Stevenson, and I just addressed that, but you have Keyshawn Davis, who is at and around that weight class, who had to drop his belt because he lost the weight. There's nobody really at that. You have William Zepeda, who lost to Shakur Stevenson. That might have been a good fight at a certain point in time. You had Lomachenko, who'd retired. There's just not a lot there. You have obviously you have Andy Cruz, who's there. You do have some 130 pounders that are very intriguing. Guys like, the winner between O'Shaquie Foster and Steve Fulton Jr. Those guys can be moving up to 135 pounds to make it interesting. But as far as fighters that have an actual chance to beat Gervonta Davis, that actually have an ability to make an exciting fight with him and sell out an arena in that area, man, Gary Russell Jr. is that guy. Now, the con to it, or as in pro and con, the cons to it is that, is that Gary Russell Jr. has been inactive, right? And it would be great if he could get in another fight at that weight class to really kind of set himself out. But let me tell you, if you didn't get a chance to see the fight that he had just had when he came back earlier this year, man, I'm telling you right now, that dude's skill level is a lot of problem for these fighters at 130 and 135 pounds, man. The guy's just so well-rounded offensively, defensively. He was doing whatever he wanted to with this guy coming off that layoff. And it appeared as if Gary Russell Jr.'s shoulder was fixed. I personally don't think anybody's ever beaten Gary Russell Jr. other than Vasily Lomachenko when those guys were fighting at 126 pounds. Other than that, man, in my book, Mark Magsayo, who on paper beat Gary Russell Jr., nah, man, I don't think so. I think obviously his shoulder was hurt. He could only beat him, but he beat him and whooped him with one hand. The judges just decided to give it to the other guy for pressure. It was ridiculous. I think that was one of the most clear robberies that I have seen in a while. So, man, look, I am pushing and will continue to push for Gary Russell Jr. to get a fight. You see, Gary Russell Jr. is roughly the same age as Terrence Crawford. And you saw what Terrence Crawford just did to Canelo Alvarez. There's no reason to believe that Gary Russell Jr. doesn't have the same ability to do that to Gervonta Davis. Those guys are the same size as well. Both from the same area, both very highly skilled fighters. Gary may get clocked by Tank, but Tank definitely going to be getting something handed to him while he's trying to do it. Man, I believe in that fight. But, will it happen? Who knows? I believe that the best interest of the PBC is probably to have Gervonta move up and fight Gary Antoine Russell, because that would be a tremendous fight. But again, and I'll always say this, Gervonta Davis is not a 140 pounder. He's barely a 135 pounder. So to have him fight a guy that is also, if he fought at 135, barely a 135 pounder, I think is fair. Just like I thought it was fair for him to fight Leo Santa Cruz, who was a 130 pounder, but was much bigger than Gervonta Davis. Lamont Roach, who was a 130 pounder, who's much bigger than Gervonta Davis. But I can give him Hector Garcia, 130 pounder that was much bigger than Gervonta Davis. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. Please let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.